Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be my birth story and also meeting my little girl with her name reveal. If you see a couple motions, I do have my son behind me and my baby girl is laying right here next to me. So sorry if you hear anything in the background. Okay guys, so I will start with how I ended up in the hospital like 7 days early than my actual due date. So um, my doctor had an issue with my date of birth and she gave me an option to either wait it out and have the baby naturally, or I could be induced a week early if I would like within those 7 days before, so like 39 weeks. So we went in on the 22nd, like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on the 23rd. So they hooked me up to, I went in and we had COVID. So like, it was just me and my husband, which kind of sucked. I really wanted my mom there. Never thought I would say that, but when you're in labor, it's a whole different thing. If this is your first pregnancy, trust me, have your mom there, if you can. Anyway, so we go in and they pretty much prepare me for everything. I get undressed. I put the robe on that they give you at the hospital. And then they come in and they okayed everything with the doctor and they hooked me up to Pitocin on a low dose. And then so since I was hooked up to Pitocin, they bumped it up I think it was every hour, 2 points. So it was like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way up to 28. I was on the Pitocin for a good 6 hours. And then my doctor came over at 8 o'clock in the morning and popped my water and told them that they could bump the Pitocin up to like 30 or 32, something like that. I had no contractions yet, or no pain or anything. So I'm just sitting there and nothing was happening. I did go in at a like 2.5, naturally, not in pain or anything, just naturally dilated, but I wasn't effaced at all. And that was the problem with my labor, most of it. So once I was hooked up to Pitocin, I didn't dilate. Nothing was happening. 8 o'clock, she popped my water. And then I said I would like to get the epidural because with my son, since this is my second pregnancy, I thought it'd be a lot faster. With my son, after they popped my water, it was like maybe an hour to 2 hours and my baby was here. So I didn't want to miss the epidural and go into full-blown labor and have to have the baby without any pain management, because I know I can't do it without pain management. So I asked her to get the epidural. The guy came over for the epidural. So he does my first epidural, and I'm sitting there and I kind of had like an anxiety attack. I did with my first one. I just started shaking really bad. And I said, I'm going to pass out. And you hear the heart monitor like skyrocket. Like it's like, and I'm like, holy crap. And I sat there and I was like, I'm going to pass out. Like I'm like going black. Something's wrong. And then he like pulls it out and he redoes another one. So that was my first epidural. Right after that, I got a second one. He moved it lower because for some reason my vertebrae were not far apart enough for him to go through, and he was trying to, and I guess it caused me to black out. I don't know. After he did that, we put the second one in, and then with my son, I instantly felt pain relief. With her, I didn't. He put the second one, and I felt it for the first like 10 minutes, like the pain management with it, and then it just started to like wear off, and I could feel where my epidural was. And it made me really concerned. And I was talking to my husband. I was like, I can feel where the epidural is. And I couldn't feel it with my son. And I said, I feel like I can still get up and walk to the bathroom. Like I have full control of my legs. I can pick them up and everything. With my son, I had no control from like my chest down. I could not pick anything up or move. The doctors were moving me around. For, I think, 6 or 7 hours, finally the Pitocin started kicking in and I was having full-blown contractions after she popped my water. I still was only dilated to like a 2.5, 3 at this point, and I was being checked all day and nothing was moving. It was just 2.5, 3, 2.5, 3, somewhere in that range. And so I'm sitting there and like 6 hours go by and I'm like in excruciating pain. Every time there's a contraction, I could feel it. And it's like stabbing, like if I was sitting on a knife down there, if that makes sense. And I didn't feel that way with my son when I went into labor naturally with him. I didn't feel that way. So that was weird, like a weird feeling, but it was very, very painful. So my doctor finally came over. It was like 6 p.m. I think. And I've told the nurse like 3 or 4 times, hey, I'm in massive pain. Something's wrong. I shouldn't be in this much pain. And I'm over here clicking the epidural button. Nothing's taking the edge off. And I'm like, can you give me something for pain, like morphine or something? And she was like, well, we have to call the anesthesiologist for your pain management. We'll give him a call. Well, I guess they never called him or whatever, which I guess they had to call my doctor first because she was coming over. So she came over and she was talking to me, and she said, well, the nurses don't think that you're in that much pain. Well, then instantly after she said that, I had a contraction. And I guess my face turned red is what my husband said, but I was in so much pain. I was like holding my breath, and tears started rolling because I was in that much pain, but I wasn't like crying. And she's like, okay, you really are in pain. I'm going to call the anesthesiologist and get him back over here. So in a conclusion, I had my epidural 3 times. And at this point, at 6 p.m., I could feel the incision area. Everything was very tender and sore. I could pick my legs up. I could get out of bed if I needed to, which you shouldn't feel that way on an epidural at all. So he came over and I said, I can feel you touching me back there. I said, I can pick my legs up, and I showed him. And he's like, okay, you should not be able to do that. So he goes back there and he like just pulls it out a little bit. And just with him pulling it out, it's like I started to feel a little bit of pain relief, but it wasn't like it was the first time, which that's fine because I felt like I was crippled. I was okay with pressure, and it was okay with having like movement. I wanted to have movement this time. I didn't want to feel like completely drugged up like I did the first time. But I didn't want to feel the sharp pains I was feeling, because honestly, I felt like I was going to feel her come out as in pain wise, not pressure wise. And I was not ready to experience that. I was freaking out and shaking after every nurse would leave. I was telling my husband, I can't do this. I can't do this because I really can't do that type of pain. I probably would have passed out or something. But he gave me some type of cocktail in my IV, which I guess your epidural is diluted with water. Didn't know that. He gave me like 3 syringes, like tied them into my thing and syringed it through my IV. And like within 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, I looked at him and I said, I'm going to take a nap. That was it. I was finally, like, my pain relief had went away. I was still feeling pressure. I could feel my legs. They were still tingly. Like, I had feeling. With my son, I had no feeling at all. I couldn't barely push with him. But I thank God that he came back over, because there's no way I could have had her, like, I had her 4 hours later, 4.5 hours later. And honestly, if I would have done it natural, it probably would have been horrible, to be honest. I think without my doctor, it would have probably been a horrible experience. With my son, it wasn't the greatest experience because my doctor wasn't there. But she actually listened to me. She came back and checked on me. My first doctor did not. And she wasn't my doctor. I'm thankful that I had my doctor this time, because I think that was the best experience I had labor-wise. But so after they gave me a epidural, I laid there and I took a nap. Well, 7 o'clock, the PM nurses come in. And the PM nurse that came in was the one that delivered my son, too. And she knew kind of how my body was with effacing and dilating. Sorry, my son had to get up and do something. So anyway, the nurse that came in knew me, knew how I was with my son in delivery. I had issues with dilating and effacing. So my issue was effacing. Once I was fully effaced, I dilated like that. There was no stopping it. So 7 o'clock, she came in. She said, hey, on Instagram, there's been these positions for labor. Can I put you in one to see if it'll help you dilate? And I said, sure, I'm going to take a nap. This is right after I got my epidural, not even an hour. So I'm still kind of like, I'm starting to get a little drugged up. So she puts me in these positions, and I think 30 minutes to an hour, I would say, goes by, and she comes back in to check on me, make sure everything is okay. And I said, I kind of feel a little bit of pressure down there, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, well, is it okay if I check you? I said, sure. So all day I've been at a 3. All day. And this is all it took, is the positions in my epidural to relax my body. I jumped to a 7. Not even knowing I slept through it all until she came in and woke me up. So then she flips me to the other side. And I'm not joking, these positions, my body was like flat, but my legs were turned over, and I was like in a running position. It was all crazy and kind of comfortable, because I slept on my belly like that while I was pregnant. I know you're not supposed to sleep on your belly, but that's the only way I slept, and it was comfortable. So with that being said, I moved to the other side, and she said, if you feel like the urge to push, you need to let me know. I said, okay, I'm going to go back to sleep. At this point, it's like 9 o'clock. So I call my mom and I'm like, because we have to be on FaceTime because it's just my son. So my mom was on FaceTime with my labor. So I FaceTime her and I said, hey, I'm at a 7, just letting you know. And I'm like drugged up, so I sound like I'm like, hey mom, I'm at a 7. Talk to you later, bye. Like, so then I call one of my friends. I had my iPhone delivered while I was in the hospital. Wasn't planning that. It just kind of got delivered early. And I asked her to go pick it up. And I was like, hey, I'm at a 7. Just let you know. Baby will be coming soon. Da da da. So after I called my friend, I called my grandma. And she's like 90 years old. So she's probably in bed at this time. When I call her, I'm like, hey, grandma, I'm at a 7. Baby's going to be here soon. Just let you know. Because my grandma accidentally ended up in the room with my son, which I'll leave the birth story for him down below so you guys can watch that if you'd like to. But anyway, so I called her and let her know. She's like, okay, well, send me a picture when the baby's here, da 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 da. I said, okay. I get off the phone with them, and it took me about 30 minutes to talk and call people. It's about 9:30. And I'm sitting there, and I start feeling this pressure down there. Like, my body's pushing on its own. Like, I can't hold it. Like, kind of need to take a shit, but in the front area. I never understood when women said that it kind of feels like you have to take a poop whenever you're in labor, but it's true. But it's not back there. It's in the front that feels like that. So I was like, I was talking to my husband. I said, hey, babe, come here. And he said, what? And I said, there's that contraction paper. And I said, when the line goes up, will you tell me? And I said, okay. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you when I have a pressure, and you tell me what the paper does. He said, okay. So I said, I was sitting there, we were talking. I said, like, pressure, pressure, pressure. And then he's like, the line went all the way up the paper. I was like, okay, that was a contraction and I'm having pressure. That means my body's ready to have labor. In my head, that's why I took it. So I said, you need to go get my nurse. Some reason, my phone that had the nurse button was hanging down the side of the bed. I didn't know the whole time, so I had no, like, way of contacting them. My bed wasn't working for some reason. I don't know if it was just turned off or what, but could never do it. Luckily, I was the only, like, person in labor at the hospital, so it was easy to get my nurse. So she comes in there and she's like, well, the doctor didn't want me to check you until midnight because they were considering me having a C-section if I wasn't going to dilate or anything. But luckily, I went to a 7, so that was off the table. She didn't want to check me because my water has been broken since 8 a.m. It can cause an infection, things like that. So she said, well, do you mind if I check you with your permission? I can do that. And I said, okay. And it's like 9:30. I said, I would like you to check me. I'm having pressure where I feel like I need to push. And it's like I feel like I need to take a poop. And she said, okay, I'm going to check you. And she goes down there and she's like, you're at a 10 and the head's there. Like, literally, she stuck, like, these 2 fingers, like, that far in, and she could feel the head. And I was like, okay, well, can we start pushing now? Because I feel uncomfortable. Like, it's starting to hurt because I'm holding it. I'm not, like, letting my body do it on its own. And she's like, yeah, we can start pre-pushing or whatever. So it's just my nurse. I have this, like, desk nurse is what I call it. She's the one that answers the phone whenever you call up there, or whenever you need something, she kind of, like, gets it for you, but she's never came in and give me an IV or anything like that. So she came in and they start doing pre-pushes with me. Okay, I'm like, okay, this is good, you know, whatever. No big deal. That only took 10 minutes. Well, here comes in my doctor. In the middle of her telling me that I'm dilated to a 10, my doctor was calling her nurse phone. And it's like, she was like, I was watching your stats at home and I saw that go all the way up, and I assumed that you were about to have the baby. And I said, when she got there, that's what she told me. The nurse was talking to the doctor. She's like, we were just about to call you. She's at a 10. She's ready to go, like, now. Thank God my doctor lives in Owasso, and she was on call and ready to be there. So she shows up within the 10 minutes of me, like, doing the 10 count pushes, 3 sets of 10, right? So I do my 3rd set, and the head is, like, there. You can see the hair hanging out, is what the nurse said. So it was like one more push and she would have been there. Well, the nurse that was, like, the sheet, like, bed sheets and stuff like that, drops the bottom of my bed off. So I, like, give labor and recover in the same room. So my bed's, like, 3 parts instead of just a solid bed. So the bottom part drops off and your butt's, like, hanging off the bed, and then your legs are in the spurs like this. Well, so anyway, that nurse comes in and she's, like, pulling everything out of the closet for the delivery. So it's just my nurse, her, the baby nurse, and which baby nurse kind of, like, showed up after I delivered. She really wasn't there to do my delivery. and my doctor. So anyway, so this nurse comes in and I'm like, the head's pretty much sticking out at this point. Kind of using your common sense, you wouldn't touch the bed unless the doctor said so, but she ended up dropping the bed off, and my baby's head was like coming out, and I wasn't pushing, my body was doing it itself. So with that being said, my baby came out and my doctor was not scrubbed up yet, and she only had one glove on, and she caught my baby's head barehanded because she didn't have another twist, it was going to hit the floor. Hands barehanded, you can see our wedding ring and all. And all I remember her saying is, I need a glove, I need a glove, I need it now. And I didn't like register what she's saying. I was still kind of like drugged up on the epidural and stuff, so I was feeling good, so I wasn't paying attention to everything, every word that was said. I didn't even know this nurse did that. That's how like good I was feeling. I didn't really realize what was going on. My doctor is actually the one that told me what actually happened. And she was like, yeah, I kind of yelled there. I didn't want to ruin your birth experience. I'm sorry. I was like, I didn't even notice. I was like, I'm just glad you caught my baby. Like, I don't care about anything else. And I did not rip or tear with her. So I didn't have stitches or anything like that. And I could still kind of feel my legs with the epidural. I know I couldn't get up. But I still had that tingly feeling like when your legs fall asleep, but they didn't hurt. It was kind of like when you start to lose feeling of your legs. But, so about an hour after I had her, I was up and I went to the bathroom and I didn't have any burning sensations or anything like that. Anyway, so I didn't need those things, but they had them there for me anyway. I think the only thing I used is like the witch hazel pads. They kind of like numbed in there, but it's cooling. I just felt warm down there, so that felt good. And then I used the first, like, those ugly mesh underwear they give you, because the first couple hours you're bleeding a lot. After that was over, I brought my own Always pads, like not the pads, the actual underwear that had like a thick pad in them. I wore those with my son's pregnancy. Best thing ever. I could go to Walmart and I didn't look like I had a saggy butt. So the same thing, I did the same thing with that and it worked for me, and it's very more comfortable because I stay up. The mesh underwear did not stay up on me at all. But anyway, that was kind of like my birth story. It was a lot better than my son. If you haven't seen my son's video, it's linked down below. Go click on it and watch it. That was a more intense labor for me. I labored her in like 10-15 minutes. So she was like here at 10:01 or something like that. So with her, it was a lot easier. With him, I had like a towel pulling involved. It was like 45 minutes of pushing, things like that. So if you would like to watch that video, it's linked below. So are you ready to meet my baby girl? I'm going to introduce you to her. I will put her name up here the way that it's spelt, because it's not pronounced the way it's spelt, her middle name, but I say it different. And I'll tell you the meaning behind her name, and kind of how we kind of came up with it. So this is Miss Jersey. Miss Jersey Malaya. Hi, baby. What are you doing? What do you think? She's not happy right now. She's been crying a little bit throughout this video, but it's okay. So Jersey came from, anyway, I was looking on Pinterest for baby J names that were unique. Obviously, they have James, Jennifer, Josh, Joanna. Like, they're all common names. I wanted something very unique for my kids. Like Julian's name is an old name, but also with his, it translates in Spanish, and it's really, like, it's a completely different name, which I really liked. And his meaning on him was the birthday that he was born was my grandpa's birth year backwards, which was really cool. Didn't plan on it. It just kind of happened. With her, my grandpa and my grandma went to Mexico, and they stayed at a place called Malaya Turquesa. And that's where I got the spelling of her name, and how it's spelled correctly, which I already put up in the corner so you could see. It looks like Malia, but with the A with the squiggly thing over it, makes it Malaya. And, I mean, I don't know if that's pronounced correctly. It's coming from my grandmother's side, but I like the way that is pronounced. There's a lot of names that are spelt that way, but none of them are pronounced Malaya. I've never really heard that. I've never heard Jersey either, especially for a girl. I've heard it for a boy. But when I named her, I didn't care whether I had a boy or girl. I wanted to name them Jersey. It was very different. I also think it's a gender neutral name. so that it was her name, and then she got her middle name because that was one of my grandparents' favorite place to go. So both my kids have a meaning that ties back to my great grandfather, which was like my father figure in life, and like my best friend. So it means a lot, even though that he can't be here to experience and meet my kids, which hormones. My great grandmother is, thank God, and we call her G2 because she's great-great-grandmother to my kids. I just wish my grandpa was here to meet them, which, of course, he's already met them in heaven, but, you know, actually be on earth with them would have been different. But this is my sweet baby girl. She was 7 pounds, 10 ounces, 21 inches long. She was a little bit bigger than her brother. But she was really skinny. Jillian was really chunky, so that helped me out. Yeah. Yeah, it did. Of course, she is full rotten. Right now, she is 2 months and like a week old. I'm really behind on getting videos done. I had to figure out mom life of 2, under 2. That is some other video I'm going to have to do. I had to figure that out and figure out what worked for me, and so that's that on that. But I will do a video over that. But this is my little Miss thing. She's so cute. You want to say hi, world? Oh, she's kind of getting control of her head. But these are my babies. And sorry, my son is playing behind me with his construction stuff. Yes. Yeah. I will also do some more videos coming with toddlers too. I have some must-haves and other things. So stay tuned, subscribe. We will see you in our next video. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below and I'll try to get back to you. Say bye. Say bye. You want to say bye? Say bye, YouTube fan. Say bye-bye.